May the 4th be with you. Today is Star Wars Day, and instead of talking about Star Wars, which is one of my personal favourite subjects, I'm going to talk about another one of my favourite subjects, which is tattooing. So it's a little story time about myself and my tattoo journey, and why I don't tattoo anymore, and how I got my apprenticeship and things like that. So let's start with the reason why I wanted to go into tattooing. I wanted to go into tattooing because I love tattoos. From a young age, I would draw characters and draw people with tattoos on with my cousins because we wanted to design video games, and it kind of progressed from there. So I would then, when I was about 13, I decided tattooing is where I want to be. That's what I'm going to do. Naively enough, I thought I went to university to do, which is a dumb idea, and I don't know where I got that from, but that was where I got it from. Pardon me. And went on from there, and I got to 16, I was leaving school, and I was still adamant that's what I was going to do. My mum supported me fully, and I went to college, and I dropped out 3 times because I just couldn't find the passion to do the work. And I know if I went back now, I would do so much better. So not long after my 18th birthday, I believe, or my 19th birthday, I went looking for an apprenticeship. My mum kicked me up the backside and said, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it now. You're 19 years old, do something. And I did. I trolled around shops for a week trying to find anywhere that would want to look at my portfolio. I went from South East London to West London to East London to North London, and eventually when I got to North London, a store looked at my portfolio and was like, okay, come back in a month with more conceptualized designs, because I had sketches, I had line drawings, I didn't have anything really in colour or black and grey or anything like that. And they said, come back and we'll have a look. And I came back that month later, spoke to the owner of the shop, and he was like, okay, you start tomorrow. And the store was called at the time Holloway Ink. And I did my usual apprentice stuff. I cleaned tubes, I cleaned everything, had my hepatitis jabs, I learnt to tattoo, I did fake skins, moving eventually onto some people, but I struggled. I didn't have the focus, I didn't understand the opportunity I was given, the life I could create with it. Let's start again because it wasn't like that. So I did all the usual apprentice stuff, and it got to a point where I was struggling to find people to tattoo, and Anne saw that, and eventually he said, okay, well, how about you work on the reception for 5 days a week, and then you tattoo on a Sunday, and you find strong set clients for that Sunday to tattoo. And I think that was really nice of him, because he then ended up giving me money and to support myself to buy new equipment, and gave me a set day that I would be able to do it. It's because he knew I was struggling. But it got to a point where I still couldn't find people then. It would be maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe once every 3 weeks that I would find someone to tattoo, because I couldn't grow the client base. And word of mouth was great. I did have people that were like, oh, George did my tattoo, George did my tattoo, go see him, and it was fun, and it was great, and I loved doing it. But it just wasn't a way to survive in that industry. So eventually Ant was just like, we're gonna have to call it a day. And it wasn't actually, I'm putting it a little bit more politely than that. It wasn't it was a more abrupt way than that, but it was a day, at the end of the day. And I was heartbroken because I knew it's what I wanted to do. So after that, I went and got a job working in a wedding dress shop called Bonito with my best friend Louise, who you actually saw in the last video. We worked together for about 6 months, and then I got a tweet from Anne saying that he wanted to talk to me. And I hadn't really had any contact with anyone that I worked with from there during the 6-month period, and he was like, well, come back, bring the portfolio in, we'll try this again. And I got my shit together. I ran in there and was like, yep, I'm gonna come back to this. Brought my portfolio, slammed it on the desk. It's like, and I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. So going through my portfolio, and he was like, okay, let's start again. And that time I had the focus, I had the willingness to learn. I basically redid everything. I restructured my life. I basically got myself into a mindset that I'm going to be here early, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And it went really well. And I was practicing on skins every day that I could, and it wasn't working. And it got to a point, Ant was like, time to tattoo me. And after that he was like, yep, let's go to speak to people. and again I struggled to find the client base. And it got to a point where I was getting better, constantly improving, and starting to do small walk-ins, but I was still struggling to find my own clientele to do what I wanted to do. And it just wasn't financially sustainable. I couldn't support myself there. When he said, yep, okay, we're gonna put you onto junior artist now and you're gonna work here full time, I was about ready to go. I quit my job and I was like, okay, here's my month's notice. I was ready to get everything done. I bought new equipment, I bought new everything. And then we had an electrical failure in the shop and power just wasn't working. And the landlord wouldn't do anything, there was nothing we could do. And the shop closed. And my heart fell out of my arsehole, to be frank. Because I had just quit my job. I had just changed my entire life. This is what I was going to do full time. This is what was going to be my living, and I just sunk so low that I didn't know what to do. I remember getting the text from one of the other artists, Aitor, who I still talk to now, and he just said to me, the shop's closed, it's just come and collect your stuff. And that's what I had to do. I collected everything there and left, and yeah, that was it. So after knowing that I couldn't make a living out of this and I couldn't grow my clientele base, I just never went back. I didn't leave that shop going, okay, mindset of back into a tattoo shop, gonna find someone that's gonna take me. I'm gonna be like, here's my portfolio, here's my work, I can do this, I can do that. I specialize in neo-traditional, I like black and grey more than colour, I can do portraits, I can do whatever. And I just never did it. I got into my own head, think I failed, I'm never going to do this again, and I sunk into a depression. And eventually I had to just snap out of it, and I had to find work because I couldn't support myself. And I ended up going into retail, and that's what I've done for the last 3 years. Sad. So I've still got a box of all my equipment. Anything that was dated is gone. But my machines, power supply, everything I've still got, which I haven't touched in 3 years. I'm actually just covered in dust. But it's a sad tale. But I love tattooing. I plan to get many more tattoos. Maybe in the future I'll go back to it. Who knows? But as of now, it's not really something I can afford to do. I can't quit my job to just go to apprentice again or to work without getting clients, and so I had been floppy all this time, and I miss it. I really do, really miss it. But life's looking up at the moment, and who knows, the future is bold and bright, and the future. That was some sentimental bullshit. Spilled coffee down. I hope that video wasn't too much of a download, but I keep getting asked questions by people I work with and other people that I know about why I quit tattooing. They've seen my drawings on Instagram, they've seen my drawings in person, why I quit. And the answer is, I couldn't make it work. So I hope this wasn't too much of a downer. If you like this video or you have any questions, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Again, 1 week for your video, but this week getting 2. Deuces. Getting 2, and let's see what the next one holds. And everyone, happy Star Wars Day. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Kylo Ren says happy Star Wars Day. Ciao.